Dr. Joey Faucette, what a bio. Welcome to Sound Retirement Radio.
Hey, I am so delighted to be on with you in Seattle this morning. Thank you so much, Jason, for having me.
Absolutely. And I should let our listeners know the way that this relationship came to be is you had me as a guest on your podcast, and we just really hit it off. And so I thought it'd be fun to bring you on and onto this show. Joe, you may not know this, but a lot of the people that we serve are getting ready to retire, or they've recently retired. And I want to talk to you about your experience with coaching and helping people with transition and change. But I want to start the conversation today with this word positive. You've got that word intertwined into just about everything you're creating. So why create and build a career in a coaching business around the word positive?
Oh, great question, Jason. Thanks so much for asking. The fourth chapter of Philippians. Well, first of all, Philippians is my favorite letter that Paul wrote. And when I stop and think about, he wrote it from prison, and the theme of the thing is joy. It just really causes me to reflect on how often we so easily let the culture around us determine our attitude, our faith response to the world around us, especially the work world. And so in that fourth chapter, in the Message translation, Paul encourages us to fill our minds and meditate on, and then it gives us this wonderful list of characteristics. But in the Message translation, Dr. Peterson summarizes all that by talking about fill your minds and meditate on the best, not the worst, the beautiful, not the ugly, things to praise, not things to curse. So often when people hear that word positive, of course, they go back to 1952 when Dr. Norman Vincent Peale wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, and that really began a journey that people like Napoleon Hill, W. Clement Stone, and others, Andrew Carnegie, had begun earlier in the 1900s, and that is to really discover how empowered we are and how our Creator has made us with these incredible minds. So we have an opportunity to choose to focus. Now, of course, we go all the way back to Paul, and we see Paul preceded all of those guys in understanding the way the good Lord had made our brains. But we have a powerful mind, and we can choose what to fill our minds with, Paul's saying, and what to rent space in our heads to. So rather than allowing so much of the media around us today or hallway conversations at work to fill our minds with the negative, we actually can choose to focus on the positive and then to filter out the negative, because we're not Buddhist by nature. We don't believe that negativity doesn't exist. Bad things do happen to good people, as Rabbi Kushner taught us years ago. But it's where you're going to spend your mental energy, where you're going to place your mind. And so that word positive for me is not some sort of rose-colored glasses, namby-pamby thing. It's a proactive choice that we, particularly as believers, make to fill our minds and meditate on the best in the world around us, the beautiful experiences that God gives us each day, and then the things to praise God about. And that choice is something we can learn to exercise each and every day. So that's our career, is we help client companies all over the world, literally just about on every continent, to train managers, to train CEOs, to train CFOs and other executives in how to create that positive workplace culture that improves employee productivity and therefore increases profitability for the company.
Wow, that's awesome. Boy, what a great response. I heard Jim Rohn say once, he said, negative is normal. It's not healthy, but it's normal. And then he goes on to say, you've got to learn how to deal with the negative and not just pretend that it doesn't exist. And I think we see so much of this in the world today. There is, it's what gets the headlines. It's what people tune into. It's why people slow down when there's an accident on the side of the road. How do you, in this world when we're getting bombarded with these flashing signals from the TV and the internet news media, and I just had a lady in my office the other day that says she tries to limit her time on Facebook just because some of these social media channels can get really ugly and really negative, and people communicate different in those channels than they would face to face. So what is the best tools or strategies you found for recognizing the negative, but not allowing it to consume you?
Wow, what a great question, and a multifaceted answer to that. First of all, let me just mention about the media that you're talking about. Media has always had an undue influence on culture, but the ironic thing is we have encouraged that. Whether you're talking about radio or TV, or whether you're talking about social media, however you slice it or dice it, it can have as much influence on you as you want. And please understand that the journalistic mantra is, if it bleeds, it leads. Anytime you're experiencing any kind of newscast, whether it's radio, TV, whatever, the bloodiest stories are up front. And then if you can wind your way through the newscast, say the 30-minute national newscast or something, all the way to the end, you might get a warm and fuzzy at the end, right? But by that time, you're so beat up by all the negativity. It is normal. By the way, Jim Rohn's my favorite business philosopher. Absolutely love that guy. So here's step one, and we encourage this and actually teach this tactic as well as the strategies behind it. And that is to become aware of the influence of negativity around you, whether it's in a personal conversation with someone, at work. By the way, we have a pet name for those people. We call them Eeyore vampires. Be glad to unpack later what that means. But just become aware. Awareness is the first key in coaching anyway. And then the second thing is to take action. Now, the specific action we teach, the tactic around media, is what we call the great media switch. And that is to change the way you consume media from push media to pull media. That being radio and TV or push media, you're actually abdicating your editorial license to someone in New York or L.A. or Dallas or Atlanta, wherever the network affiliate feeds come from for you, and you give it all to them. So if it bleeds, it leads comes right in on your brain, and your I won't say there's no way you can be impervious to all the negativity. It has an effect on you. So what you want to do is switch to pull media. That is, use your smartphone, your iPad, some device that you have editorial control over. So you can go through your Google feed and you can look at various articles that you have chosen and shown a preference for around different subjects. And you can still stay informed. I don't care what news app you're looking at. You still have that choice to watch a video, to read an article, and so you're exercising your choice. You can read just the first paragraph of an article if you want to, so that you stay informed. We don't want to be Luddites and just hide ourselves away, right, and be media agnostic. We want to keep up with what's going on in the world. Yet at the same time, we want to make sure we exercise our editorial control. So that first step is awareness. The second step is action, and you take action through the great media switch by choosing media with which you can be proactive. And then thirdly, you want to make sure that you align, that is, your actions with your awareness. And so you want to make sure that the news sources that you choose are, well, some of them tend to be monolithic and they claim they have all the answers, but read a diversity of thought, but always understand why you are reading what you're reading and use your own filter. And so therefore you're aligning your actions with your awareness, and your values are mixed in with that, and your values become the filter by which you interpret the news around you.
I had the good fortune to travel to Europe recently and just met some wonderful people over there. They were kind, and they were hospitable, and they had great food, and they were welcoming, and they were funny. And you know what I'm reminded of, though, as you travel around the world, or from state to state, or from city to city, is that there are really a lot of wonderful people, and I think we have a lot more in common than we have than the differences we have.